U.S. credit card debt surges to more than $1 trillion for the first time ever. And this is like crazy to me because this goes to show to me that the majority of people are just not credit card people. Like this means that like they are carrying a balance, that Americans are carrying a credit card balance totaling over $1 trillion. That is so disgusting. So the credit card debt held by US shoppers surpassed more than 1 trillion for the first time ever as high inflation continues to drive up costs, according to a report published on Tuesday by the New York Federal Reserve. Credit card balances grew by $45 billion in the second quarter of this year, rising from $986 billion at the end of the first quarter to oh no, 1.03 trillion by the end of the most recent 3-month period, the New York Fed data shows. $1 trillion in credit card debt is staggering, Matt Scholes, chief credit analyst at LendingTree, told Fox Business. Unfortunately, it is likely only going to keep growing from here. What's driving it is inflation, higher interest rates, and just generally how expensive life is in 2023. The report found that Americans held a total of 578.35 million credit card accounts, a 5.48 million increase from the end of the first quarter, and the credit card limits increased in aggregate by $9 billion to 4.6 trillion, according to the New York Fed. And the average interest rate on credit card balances are at a near record 20.53%, according to Bankrate. And like the scary thing about having credit cards, like having balances on credit cards, like the scariest thing to me when I like read this article is how long it actually takes to pay off a credit card balance. Right? So hold on, let's just do this. Right? So credit card APR calc debt payoff, just to see if I can find something like it. Yeah. Are you trying to pay off future existing debt? Let's do existing, right? What is the existing balance on your credit card? Hold on, does it say anything about the, hold on. Does it say the average amounts? No, okay. It doesn't show anything about the average credit card balance. Um, Actually, hold on, let me do this. Average credit card balance. So the average credit card balance in the US is 6,194. But this is like in 2019, 2023. Let's do that. No. Okay, yeah. Average credit card debt in America in 2023. Okay. So it's 6,469. So 6,469. This is the average, right? The average interest rate is what? 20.43, if I recall. Oh, 20.53. Okay. Next. What is your payoff goal? Pay off with a fixed monthly payment. How much do you plan to pay monthly? I mean, it doesn't really say the interest rate. Interesting. No. This isn't really. Because the minimum would probably be less than this. It'd probably be closer to like $50, I think, for this amount of money. Interval greater than or equal to, I guess maybe 195 would probably be the minimum payment for that one. Interesting. So even with this one, right? So by making monthly payments of $195, it would take you 50 months to pay off your credit card balance of $6,469. Your total interest cost will be $3,214, and this assumes you do not make any additional charges during this period and make your payments on time or by the due date. So like the thing is, like many people basically pay the minimums on their credit cards and also keep spending money on those credit cards when they have a credit card balance already, right? So they'll pay the minimum but then spend more money on it. So like let's say that they start with like a $1,500 credit card balance, they'll pay the minimum, have that, still have the 1,500 like minimum. Well, they will pay the minimum, still have that $1,500 credit card balance, and then go buy something for like $100 because they don't have the cash. Like credit cards and having credit cards with a balance on them is probably one of the worst financial choices you're making. And this is something that people are actively making every single day. Like it's a very scary thing. Like credit cards, if you do not pay off your credit cards every single month, they get really scary because you basically could get into a situation where like let's say that you have like $30,000, right? Let's say and pay off with a fixed monthly payment. I don't know what the minimum payment would be for like $30,000 because that varies so much. So let's just say minimum payment would be like, oh, it's going to be pretty high. Let's just say like $600. Calculate. Is there value greater than or equal to 900 for the monthly payment? I'm guessing $900 would be close to the minimum, which would be disgusting. So calculate. So this one would take you 51 months, right? So again, 51 months divided by 12 months would equal 4.25 years if you're paying $900 per month, which you probably aren't. Like, these credit cards can easily make someone be trapped for decades. And I do mean decades, like as in multiple 10 years of being in debt to this one card. Like, it's horrible. Like, having these credit cards like this credit card balance like this, is absolutely hideous. So, if you have credit card debt, you need to pay this off. Like, you have to pay this off. Credit card debt is one of the worst debts that you can have because it has such a high interest rate. Like, to put it like frankly, right? If you have debt on a credit card, you need to stop basically investing completely. If you're contributing to your 401k, you need to stop that. If you're contributing to your Roth IRA, you need to stop that, right? Anything you think that you're trying to like make a return on your money is dumb because you're not going to beat it. Like technically with a 401k, if it provides a matching, technically it would beat it. It's like the only time that you would actually beat it because you're literally getting free money, but it still doesn't make sense because you are just constantly getting beaten by this debt, by this interest rate. Like paying 20.53% APR is horrendous. Because you got to keep in mind, like, typically you can get maybe about like a 10% return per year if you were to invest into like the S&P 500. in like over 10 years, roughly speaking, you could pretty much double your money. But when you have this debt going against you, you're constantly losing money every single month to interest. So you're basically working like worse, like double against you. You're basically like trying to swim against the flow of the river that's going twice as fast as you. Like you don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to be slowly basically just going backwards because you're trying to swim forward, but you can't swim forward because you're getting constantly pushed back nonstop. Right? It's literally going twice as fast as you. It's just sad. It's really sad. So the report by the New York Fed also shows a slight uptick in total household debt, which increased by 16 billion in the second quarter, and total household debt stood at 17.06 trillion by the end of the second quarter, the New York Fed said. Auto loan balances also rose 4.3% in the second quarter, climbing 20 billion, and student loan debt fell by $35 billion, while mortgage balances were largely unchanged at 12 trillion. Some analysts were less worried about the ramifications for the economy. I don't doubt some people are using credit cards to make ends meet, but the labor market is still very strong, so I don't think this is necessarily a sign the consumer is almost tapped out. Bryce Gale, an economist with First Trust Advisors, told the Post. Like, this is just a sad situation. Let's see some of these comments. Yeah, it's an issue, yet no solutions. 30% credit card interest is not a solution. Is robbery from billion-dollar banks. Chase Bank doesn't lower interest either. They're part of the problem. Inflation is so bad, people are going into debt to take care of basic needs, like food, these days. No solutions from Joe. Mom and dad allowed me to have a credit card when I was just 16 years old. They stressed that I never purchased anything that I could not pay in full when the bill arrived. 50 years later, I still heed this advice and have never paid a nickel in interest. And here's my general rule of like using a credit card. Now, other people don't have to do it my way. It's just personally, I don't like using credit cards, but when I do use credit cards, I pay the amount that whatever it is that I bought in full within like 5 minutes of that purchase. So, like for example, let's say that I use a credit card to pay for gas. Within 5 minutes, I've already transferred money into my credit card to pay it off so that by the time it actually hits the credit card, there's zero balance. There's always a zero balance in the credit card, no matter what. And I have like a high 700 plus credit score, right? Without ever having debt on me at all. Ever. So those of us who have lived through the last 30 years of recessions and mountains of one kind or another either learned from them or didn't. Bum, 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 bum. Who cares about the credit card companies? They're thieves anyway. Let them eat it. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of credit card companies either. But at the same time, it's like you agreed to pay for an item. You basically signed to pay for an item. You're kind of on the hook of it, morally speaking. So, like, if you said you're going to pay for something, you should pay for it. But also, like, these interest rates are loan shark interest rates. Like, they're disgusting. Like, they're basically slowly, like, cutting you with, like, a butter knife. It's like, yes, don't worry, nothing's happening, and you're just, like, slowly getting cut with a butter knife. It's like, Jesus Christ, guys. Like, you're just harming me constantly.